difference between doing the step through mic while jumping and while being on the ground.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, how about doing two rotations instead of one doing the mic? You know, if you're in like in a freestyle and
Mhm.
you want to do it, but that don't necessarily see as you can, don't necessarily see that you're like stopping completely,
Right.
jumping.
Mhm.
That's kind of the thing.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. So for 100%. So, yeah, when you're moving, when you're doing like a full sequence, the skill does not happen as fast as other skills. It's very similar to doing a stall, right? Like if I was jumping, right, and I'm doing something like this, stall, right, stall. It can still work, but the stall takes an extra beat or a beat and a half to happen, right? This is that same way. So what this really is, and where you see this used the best in terms of like competitive routines or just general freestyle routines, it's used as kind of like a breath, right? Like a slight little pause, moving, and it's honestly a really good transition skill to basically change up the pace. Like something like that's really common. If like you do it into a turn, and then you can use that to reorient yourself. But it's not like, you're correct, it's not really as good if you're doing like something really fast and you just like, you can't really throw it as smoothly. It's definitely possible, you could, but it fits better in the context of
Maybe it's like a fling thing,
Yeah.
your I don't know, like your kind of way of doing it. I'm moving too fast, and that's the way that I mean, you made it your own, doing it
Yeah.
while you're jumping.
Right.
Okay, and how about the two rotations on the mic?
100.
Is there any?
Like an extra tip for that?
No. I mean, if there's any like, um, if you are gonna do two rotations instead of one,
Mhm.
um, is there like a difference in the competitive way, or it's no difference between doing two rotations or one?
from from like a judging perspective, you wouldn't see a big point difference from that at all. But in terms of actually executing it, there's really not a huge like tactical difference. It's just kind of, again, keeping your body out of the way and keeping it moving. It would be different using like a long, like this is where I typically do two rotations with a long handle just because it feels better, but that's more of a preference thing. There's no really hard rule about that, but it works a lot better being here and then catching it that way, right? Okay. So it's just, yeah, but in terms of scoring and competition, there's no point difference for that, really. Yeah.
More like a visual thing.
Yeah, and that would probably actually fall more into the presentation category, because here's the difference, right? If I'm doing, and then I do something that way, versus if I do the same thing, you feel how there's that extra beat there, and you're kind of like, all right, like what's happening? That would be more of a presentation thing of like that little pause. Honestly, it looks as if you're not prepared for the net in terms of a competitive environment, right? Like if you're doing a routine and they're scoring you, it looks as if you're kind of not really sure what's coming next. You're not really prepared. And so that comes down to more like presentation versus like, it's not really an exact like skill point difference. So yeah, that's kind of the breakdown there.